He sold his flat for $600,000 and walked away with $47,500 in cash. So, where did the rest go? Well, CPF took it back. And honestly, the scariest part about this whole thing, he did everything right. He saved diligently, he used his CPF exactly like he was supposed to. He literally had no idea this was coming. And look, this is not just some rare horror story. This is happening to Singaporeans every single day, and most of us don't even see it coming until the very day we sit down to sign the papers. Welcome back to COPA Capital. Today, we're diving into CPF. More specifically, we're looking at the mistakes that are quietly costing Singaporeans tens of thousands of dollars. In some cases, we're talking about wiping out an entire decade of savings in just a single transaction. Now, I know CPF content has a reputation for being kinda dry, but bear with me here, because what I'm about to show you involves real dollar amounts, real-world scenarios, and decisions that many of you are probably making right now without realizing the long-term consequences. We're covering 3 major CPF mistakes today: the accrued interest trap, the one-way transfer you can't undo, and the CPFIS trap that nobody really warns you about. Each of these costs real money. But the good news? Each one is completely avoidable as long as you know what to look out for. So let's get right into it. All right, mistake number 1, the accrued interest trap. Let's look at a real-world scenario so you can actually feel the numbers here. Meet Mr. Lim. He bought a BTO flat in Punggol back in 2020 for $450,000. He used $200,000 from his CPF ordinary account for the down payment and his monthly mortgage installments over 5 years. Smart, responsible, right? That's exactly what CPF was designed for. Fast forward to 2026, after his minimum occupation period, he sells the flat for $600,000. Now, on paper, that looks like a very nice $150,000 profit. So why did he only walk away with around $50,000 in cash? Well, let's break it down. That $200,000 he withdrew from CPF for housing, he has to return that in full. But wait, that's not all. He also has to return the interest that money would have earned if it had just sat in his OA. That's 2.5% per year compounded annually, as if he never even touched it. That interest charge alone over just 5 years is roughly $30,000. This right here is what we call CPF accrued interest. And let me tell you, it is the single biggest financial shock that hits Singaporean flat sellers, mostly because nobody explained it to them clearly at the point of purchase. Now, here is a really important nuance. That money doesn't just disappear into thin air. It actually goes right back into your own CPF OA. So it's not lost forever. But, and this is a massive but, it is no longer cash in your hand. And if you're counting on that flat sale to fund your next property, or a renovation, or your retirement, this forced refund can completely turn your financial picture upside down. And honestly, here's where it gets even more painful for long-term owners. Because accrued interest compounds annually, the longer you hold the property and the more CPF you use, the larger that refund becomes. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Take someone who bought a place in 1991 and used $100,000 of CPF. By 2026, their accrued interest alone is over $174,000. That means a total refund of $274,000. From a flat that might only sell for $450,000. By the time they clear the loan and the fees, they might walk away with almost nothing in cold hard cash. They might even need to top up their CPF with extra funds. Crazy, right? So what can we actually do about this? Well, you've got 2 strategies. Strategy 1, if your cash savings can earn more than 2.5%, and let's be real, in 2026 they absolutely can, through key bills or fixed deposits, consider paying a larger chunk of your monthly mortgage in cash. Let your CPF accumulate instead. This stops the accrued interest from building up so fast. Yes, it definitely requires more cash discipline up front, but the payoff when you sell, huge. Strategy 2, log into your CPF portal right now. Go to My Statement, and you can see exactly how much you've withdrawn for housing and how much accrued interest has piled up. Do this before you engage an agent, before you commit to a selling price, and absolutely before you sign anything. The number probably won't be what you expect, but knowing it in advance means 0 nasty surprises on completion day. Quick check for you all. Did you actually know about accrued interest before today? Drop a yes or no in the comments below. I genuinely want to know how many people are walking into this completely blind. Moving on to mistake number 2, the one-way transfer you cannot undo. Now, this mistake is a bit subtler, but it actually catches financially savvy Singaporeans the hardest. Why? Because it's not made out of ignorance. It's made by people who've done their homework. They know the special account earns 4% versus the ordinary account's 2.5%, so they decide to transfer their OA savings into their SA to earn more.
On the surface, that is a really smart instinct. The problem is what happens right after. Here's what most folks don't fully internalize before they hit that confirm button. Once you transfer money from your OA to your SA, it is a one-way street. That money is gone from your OA permanently. You cannot use it for housing down payment, you cannot use it for monthly mortgage payments, and you cannot invest it through the CPF investment scheme. It is locked tight until retirement. Now, if you genuinely have surplus OA funds that you don't need for housing, and you're perfectly happy locking that money away for your 60s, then yeah, the transfer makes total mathematical sense. You get more interest, more compounding, and a stronger retirement. The trap happens when people transfer aggressively without really thinking through their upcoming housing needs.
Picture this. A 29-year-old transfers $50,000 from their OA to their SA to chase that higher interest. 8 months later, boom, they successfully ballot for a BTO that they've been trying to get for years. Awesome, right? Except the down payment requires $45,000 from their CPF, but their OA is suddenly empty. That $50,000 is locked up in their SA forever. So now they have to scramble to fund that entire shortfall in pure cash or risk losing the flat entirely. I've literally seen this scenario play out, and it is entirely avoidable. So here are 3 golden rules before you ever touch that transfer button. Rule 1. Never transfer more than you can genuinely afford to lock away permanently. You've got to be brutally honest with yourself about your housing timeline. Rule 2. If you're planning any property transaction in the next 3 to 5 years, protect your OA buffer first. Calculate your estimated down payment and your monthly CPF mortgage commitment, and keep that exact amount perfectly safe in your OA. Rule 3, and honestly, this is a detail most people completely miss. Cash top-ups to your SA earn you that exact same 4% interest, but they also qualify for tax relief of up to $8,000 a year. OA to SA transfers, they give you the higher interest, sure, but absolutely no tax relief.
So when you put them side by side, if you want to grow your ESSA, making cash top-ups is almost always the better move for anyone earning a taxable income.
All right, let's talk about mistake number 3, the CPFIS trap that nobody really warns you about. The CPFIS investment scheme, or CPFIS, lets you invest your OA and SA savings in things like unit trusts, ETFs, bonds, and even gold. Sounds fantastic on paper, right? More control, potentially higher returns. After all, why would you let your CPF sit there earning 2.5% when you could be investing it for 7 or 8%? Well, here's the catch. To invest your OA through CPFIS, you first have to keep a minimum of $20,000 in your OA. That amount is strictly off limits for investing. For the SA, that minimum floor is $40,000. You can only invest the funds sitting above those thresholds. But honestly, the bigger problem is this. For your SA money in particular, you are investing against a rock-solid, guaranteed 4% baseline. That means your investments need to return more than 4% per year, consistently and after fees, just to beat doing absolutely nothing. And here's the harsh historical reality. The vast majority of CPFI's unit trusts have really struggled to consistently beat that guaranteed CPF rate after fees are factored in. Think about it. Management fees on CPFIS products range from around 1% to over 2% annually. So on a $100,000 SA balance, that's $2,000 a year vanishing into fees alone, and that's before any potential market underperformance. This is exactly why the financial community here in Singapore is pretty skeptical about CPFIS for everyday retail investors. The hurdle to beat is way higher than it looks, your product choices are limited, and that cost drag, it is incredibly real. Now, CPFIS can definitely make sense in a few specific situations. This is especially true for OA money, where you're only trying to beat a lower 2.5% baseline. Buying T-bills or SGS bonds through CPFIS OA, for example, has been a super reasonable low-risk strategy lately. Low-cost index ETFs through CPFIS OA can also work out great if you're disciplined and the fees stay low. But using CPFIS to buy actively managed unit trust with hefty 1.5% management fees, yeah, the math usually just doesn't work in your favor. Oh, and I definitely want to flag something huge that just came out this year. The CPF board actually announced a brand new investment scheme that's launching in 2028. It is specifically designed for long-term investors who want potentially higher returns than the guaranteed CPF rates, but who don't want the headache of actively managing their investments or navigating the maze of current CPFIS offerings. Guys, this is genuinely a big deal. If you've been thinking about using CPFIS, but were kind of put off by all the complexity and the high fee structures, you absolutely need to keep an eye on this 2028 scheme. It sounds like it's going to be a much simpler, lower-cost alternative that perfectly bridges the gap between guaranteed CPF returns and full-on self-directed investing.
We will absolutely do a dedicated explainer once more details drop, but for now, just know that it's coming and make sure to factor it into your long-term CPF planning.
Okay, let's bring all of this together into a really clear action plan, because just understanding these mistakes is only half the battle. Here is what you should actually go and do right now. Action 1. Log into cpf.gov.sg with your SingPass. Click on My Statement and find 3 specific numbers: your OA balance, your SA balance, and your CPF housing withdrawal amount, which includes that accrued interest. Write those down, those are your baseline numbers, and you simply can't manage what you can't see. Action 2. If you've used CPF for housing, take that accrued interest figure and run it through the HDB sale proceeds calculator on the HDB website. This will show you exactly what your net cash proceeds would look like if you sold today. Honestly, do this even if you have zero plans to sell anytime soon. It completely changes how you view your property as a financial asset. Action 3. If you're even thinking about an OA to SA transfer, calculate your estimated CPF housing needs for the next 5 years first. That's your down payment plus your monthly mortgage contributions. Keep that exact amount ring-fenced in your OA as a buffer and only ever transfer the surplus. And don't forget, cash top-ups to your SA give you the same interest plus sweet tax relief. Run the math on both before you click confirm. Finally, Action 4. If you're tempted to dive into CPFIS, you've got to be brutally honest about the fee drag. Pull up the fund fact sheet for any product you're looking at and find the total expense ratio. Ask yourself, can this fund truly beat 2.5% or 4% for SA money consistently after all these fees over the next 10 to 20 years? If the honest answer is probably not, then just leave the money in CPF and let that guaranteed rate do the heavy lifting for you.
So tell me in the comments, which of these 3 mistakes were you the closest to making? Or hey, maybe you've already made one. Seriously, no judgment here at all. Every comment just helps me figure out what you guys want me to cover in the next explainer. Because here's the truth about CPF mistakes. They aren't usually made by financially reckless people. They are made by financially responsible people who just weren't given the full picture. You used your CPF for housing because, well, that's what it's there for. You transferred your OA to your SA because 4% beats 2.5%, and the math seemed obvious. You looked at CPFIS because you wanted to be proactive about your retirement. None of those instincts are wrong at all. The information around them just wasn't complete. But now it is. So here's your homework for this week. Log into your CPF portal. Find your accrued interest figure if you own property. Check your OA balance against your upcoming housing needs before you make any transfer decisions. That's it. Just 10 minutes that could literally save you tens of thousands of dollars. And before you go, if you want me to dive deeper into any of this, like CPF life payout optimization, the ultimate SA top-up strategy, what the new 2028 scheme means for you, or even how SRS stacks up against CPF top-ups, drop a comment below. That is literally how I decide what content to make next. Oh, and please share this explainer with just one person who owns a flat and has no clue what accrued interest is. You might literally save them from a very unpleasant surprise down the road. Keep asking yourself, is your CPF working for your future or are you accidentally working against it? I'll see you in the next one. Fly safe.